What's going on, guys? So this is a big green Gundam. That is a really cool box art. And this is the first MG Monday, well, in a long time. But definitely the first one of this double October. Let's just get into it. Alright, guys, so let's kick off this first Master Grade Monday with the newest Master Grade of 00. And you guys, of course, have known what it is, and you guys have known that I've had this for quite some time. And some of you have probably really been waiting on this. And it is the Dynames. I hate it when they cover the letters. But you got MG Gundam 00 up there. You got a Curios right there. You got a big green sniping Gundam right here. And I love this right here. There's just a big blue, big blue shot coming across. So this is obviously from the massive desert op they did, and everybody really got in trouble because at this point, you know, he's got his full armed stuff. And down there you got you've got Bandai 2019. So hey, this is going to be in the end of the year list. Bandai Spirits logo down there. This is some really beautiful box art, by the way. Okay, so this is the second very large box in a row that I've had to review, and it's gonna hurt. Alright, guys, so here you have the obligatory rear and front shot there. Looks very good. Completed product, and the image has been painted. Oh, cheaters. Gundam Dynames Selectro Being Mobile Suit GN002. Gundam Dynames is one of 4 Gundams belonging to Selectro Being, specialized in sniping and shooting from the Mobile Suit Gundam that was available in MG lineup. That's true. You got him there in a prone position, got his GN sniper rifle, and all kinds of good stuff there. Gun camera can on the head be moved. I read that wrong. Neck. Alright, shoulders. Hey, I actually got a box in English. I don't know what to do with this. Hip joint. Wow, he's got a very, Yep. And then he got arrows that can say he can do the Macarena very nicely. And come to the side, you've got BandaiHobby.net. And all the same stuff right there. Gundam Dynames in multiple languages. I don't know why they put it on there multiple times, but it is what it is. And they squeezed in the Curios. And you come to this side, you got frame. Yeah, the dense built-in frame that embodies the Mobile Suit characters. Yeah, it's got a full new inner frame section that is all modded just to be called the MG 1-100 GN frame. So, hey, I wonder if they'll be able to use that for other things down the line. Probably. JN beam pistols, because he's a shooter. GN full shieldo. GN missiles. Oh, hey, those should have been painted orange. Nobody told me that. And then you got figures. So it does come with a little lock-on that goes into the cockpit and one that stands there. I'll probably paint one later, but I didn't do it this time. You got GN cable, resin parts below holographic finish have been done thingies. GN verniers can do all the things. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know it could do that. GN driver. Okay, so if you do have the LEDs, you can put one in there. I don't have any to spare, so I'm going to have to pick up some of those later on. And then you got a picture of the completed thing with all the stuff that's in the box. I don't know how they do that. Markings. Don't expect to see those on mine because that's not part of it for me. And then you've got a little guy with the toilet, all your different plastics, LED, green units sold separately. We know that. Read the instructions. No kidding. No warning for 3-year-olds except for there, but forget that. It's not in Japanese, so I can't make fun of it. And no cost. Now, fortunately, mine was free because my good friend Christian gave it to me. Because he knew I wanted it, and he had an extra, so yay! Love that guy. Fortunately, he's not featured this year. Couldn't get things together in time. No pun intended. And but it costs somewhere in the $40-$45 range, if I remember correctly. Just find it on your online retailers. Hopefully your stores have it restocked by now. It came out months ago, so, you know, we'll see. And, of course, I did give one of these away in the Balls for Balls contest. So, woohoo! Or whoever won that. I don't remember at this point. It's been a while since we did that contest, guys. Now, unfortunately, I was going to do a build montage for this, but I was in a bit of a hurry and just wanted to knock it out last night and this morning and did not have the ability to do the build montage. So, sorry guys, I really wanted to do it for this one. I just didn't have time. You know, when I'm at this point, I'm a little bit backed up. You know, things are a little bit running behind, sadly. So, but either way, you still get a cool Gundam to look at, right? Yay! So, Let's go ahead and hit it up. New MG from 00. Alright guys, here we have the Dynames. And I got him in his like stripped down like original mode where he's got the smaller thingies on the side and none of the extra stuff attached to him so far. And guys, just right off the bat, this is a very, very cool build. But we gotta do turntable time. So when I set out to this, of course I knew that it was going to be a new frame, a new thing entirely. So while I've built multiple Exias before, I've built multiple 00s before, this was different. You know, it had some similarities in the frame building and stuff like that, and of course the way some of the armor and things go together, and of course in the way the holographic pieces are. That's straight up original Exia. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I just realized he's missing fingers out just sitting on the table, but it was definitely fun. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have time to switch out to a new blade, so I've got some not so clean nub marks, especially near the end on the armor and stuff like that. But other than saying it's really cool, I don't know how to say this. It's really well done. I mean, it makes no sense that it took them years to do this. I mean, they did the other 1-to-100s years ago, but why did it take them so long to give us an actual MG? Like, it seems like it was all there. Like, and having built a couple of the HGs now, you know, engineering is honestly not super far off, even from the HG. So, I mean, it is what it is. But let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. So, looking at it up close, of course, you do definitely have the Ireland colors, or the Irish colors here. So you got the red, the green, the yellow, the white. And it's just, it looks cool. What is it, red, yellow? Is it red, yellow, or red, green, and white are the Irish flag, right? The yellow is just incidental to the actual Gundam. Now with the head, it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, you got the nice bluish, greenish eyes in there, and then a blue camera kind of tucked away back in there. And unlike, you know, on the HG, you got to paint these parts here. They're all parts separated. Though this was one of the more frustrating parts. I'll mention this. So the way that the gimmick works for the camera and all that stuff, having to layer these parts together and then peg them onto a thing and then shove it back into its place was not easy. And also when we get to that transformation kind of later with the weapons, it's not easy to actually get it out in the first place. But actually, just turning him around real quick, you can see on the back of the neck, on the back of the head, he does have a really nice blue camera. So it's funny that it wasn't until I did something that is coming up in a later review, because this is YouTube time travel, that I realized that Dynames had blue eyes and blue cameras. But if we're back here and look at the GN drive, it looks very, very nice. It's very similar to the one you get with Exia, if not the same mold. And you can do all this stuff, and it does pull out in theory. Oh yeah, I forgot this part actually pops up too. So it's pretty much the exact same GN drive you get with Exia, slightly different than you get with the Quanta, and you get all this part in here. So you can light it up both ways, front and rear. So down the line, once again, I will get some LEDs for that. I have no qualms with getting LEDs for that guy. But it looks cool. I like that it does do the extended power up mode. That looks pretty neat too. And he does have the GN verniers back here. And I guess, oh, huh, look at that. I didn't even know it did that. I put it together and slapped it together. So he does have the high-speed mode, I guess. It has a lot of little neat gimmicks, and I kind of dig that. Now, one thing I got to figure out is how to get to the cockpit. So I know this part is on a hinge here. And then this drops down. So it does have a cockpit. I'm going to zoom in the best I can. So right in there, you actually have the sniping simulator thing that Lock-On has. So the control device that is actually a gun that he can look through. And I don't have the figure in there at the moment, and I don't know that I can ever actually get him in there. But I'll probably get the standing version painted. But you're never going to see it from the outside. But in there, on the back side, inside this way, is a very tiny Haro mounted to the dashboard. So that's cool that they even went there. And of course, you know, you get the sadness of Lock-On, Lock-On. It is what it is. And you do get all the nice color separation here on the chest vents. I dig that. Same thing up here. So this is actually layered. That's the gray armor on the inside. All kinds of good stuff. I mean, like, it's nice to do an MG again. I know this sounds really funny because I've done so many HGs. Actually getting a new MG is fun. And this is a new MG. Oh, by the way, the little antennas do their thing like they're supposed to do. Let's talk articulation with the head. So you get a whole lot of crane movement out like that. I'm guessing it's because you can get into the sniping position. They wanted to give him a little more movement in the neck. I find that to be a little excessive, but it is what it is. But it's a ball joint at the top. And you just tuck that back in there. Oh, by the way, he does have the holographic stuff back in here, but you really can't see it. And as for the shoulders and stuff like that, I don't think the chest... Does it? If it does, it's really tight. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so you can pull the shoulders out. There we go. I knew something could move. Come on, get out of there. So you can get a nice butterfly. That's cool. Look at that. Now, I fully admit I screwed up when I first built this guy. I had the entire chest and torso and arms together, and I had forgotten these armor pieces around here. I was looking at it, I was like, that looks a little strange. And then it wasn't until I was about to start building on the lower portion here that I realized I was missing that. I was like, they were on the runner. I was like, oh, that's weird. All right, so shoulders are going to be super tight. And it's plastic on plastic, no polycaps in this guy. So that's really tight. The shoulder movement is also very tight. Like that. So just be very careful. You don't want to accidentally snap a peg. That is kind of the one downfall of the plastic on plastic approach, is things get a little bit tight. And actually the armor itself does move somewhat, so you can do that. And it ticks down. And then these parts do have the pull out and the swivel, and this is, like I said, the standard armor that he comes with originally. So that's that. You do get some bicep rotation, which is nice. Double jointed elbow, which is good for many degrees of movement. You got the holographic energy rope right there. You got the plug on the forearm where all weapons would normally plug in for GN goodness. And you've got the extra wrist movement here along with the really nice... This is great. Okay, so you've got wrist kick here. And you've got rotation there. And then you can also tilt the wrist in and out. So very, very, very cool wrist. Very modern MG style hands there. I dig that. I'm going to kick this to the back, make my life easier. And you do get a multi-layer thing here for the GN condenser. So you get the regular lens, which is underneath, and then you get the green lens, which is on top. And then you got these stickers that say MG, or say GN002 Dynames and everything like that. There's 2 layers of that underneath that green, and you can't see any of it, and it's kind of annoying. So that depresses me ever so slightly. Now, one thing that is also slight is the way his body can tilt. It's pretty cool. Look. Yeah. And he does have the holographic bits right there. I do like it. I don't know if I'm going to capture it on camera actually doing its thing or not. There we go. That's neat. I like that. And you got waist swivel, which is good. Should clear almost until the front of the crotch there. And you can rotate things here. Speaking of the crotch, you do get the big old crotch skirts that do this number. And I think these are technically little missile launchers. I'm trying to remember what these were. I know later on they're like bits, but I don't believe there are any bits on this guy. So I think they're little tiny missile launchers. So that's pretty cool. They give you all of those. They're kind of a pain to assemble. They're just a bunch of little fiddly bits, but you know, it is what it is. So you kick that forward. And if you use the drop down hip, that hopefully will work. That will hopefully work. I'm trying to pull it down gently. I definitely don't want to snap anything off. Okay. Oh, I see what the problem is. Look, this whole section comes out. I didn't realize that. Okay, so my thumb was on that. So if you use that drop down hip, you can get a ridiculous chorus line, kind of missing the front skirt entirely. There are no side skirts, so you don't got to worry about that. And you can get a very perfect Jean-Claude because there's no side skirts, and we got universal hips, which is nice. You don't have to deal with like the ball joint style of the HG, which is super limiting, as we have covered many times before. And you do get thigh rotation, which is nice. You can probably go all the way around, but as always, why would you? Bend the knee down a little bit, you get the holographic part in the thigh. Looks very nice. And you do get very good double jointed knee. I like it. This is your knee. So blah, all of that comes down and gets out of the way. It could go further, but it's sort of just running into everything. But it's a good range of motion. You do have some very nice part separation between here. All of this is all individual pieces. Same thing back here. It looks great. All of this. So once again, I've only built the HG and I've built it a couple times at this point. And it's nice to have MG color separation on something that I've had to hand paint all of the details on before. You do get the little front ankle skirt that can get out of the way without popping off. Energy part there, which is nice. And you got the ankle that rotates, that moves forward, not really back, and then pivots. Not only that, you've got some toe movement. You've got some toe movement there, and some toe movement there. So he's very articulated, but he's very flat-footed and doesn't like to stand unless you've got those feet oriented very nicely. Like, I guess you could really kick that ankle forward and get the heel down for him to stand effectively. He does like to fall, mostly backwards, just because he's got that big butt skirt like we already looked at. Oh, I guess I could show this. So even though this is technically part of the weapons, you do get the missile cannons, the knee missiles that are right there that should be painted orange. They really could have just given you that color separation. They could have put it on the yellow runner and it would have been no different. I didn't pay any attention to it. I like the hidden aspect of this. This is cool, not gonna lie. And of course, like Virtue has hidden weapons in its knees as well. So I guess it's a gimmick they like to cover. Now, we're going to take a quick break since we've been into this for a little bit and come back for weapons and accessories and all that stuff. All right, so I didn't even move him from the break. Okay, so you do get these standard old school styly hands. You don't get the movable hands. So he does come with just the basic kind of fist that are like super tight punchy fist. And he does come with the slew of different hands. I'm not going to use all of them, so I've just left them on the runner. But you've got expressive hands, you've got beam saber holding hands, and you've got some like basic other weapon holding hands. So there's a big amount of those. And you do have the crotch peg, I believe, for the stand, and really, I don't know that. Oh yeah, it does. It inserts back here behind the crotch, so that's pretty cool. So he'll probably be on a stand eventually. That's kind of a problem. Now he does have beam saber blades, that's squared off ends, and the beam sabers are kept back here on the butt. And I like the way they did this. So you can just hinge that out and pull the beam saber off, which I didn't really rub down my thing. So, and we'll plug into the side of the hand. You got that groove there, so that's pretty good. I can live with that. I'm just not keen on messing with all those little fiddly things. Now let's go ahead and armor him up. So you want to remove these guys, which the way they did this I see failing over time. So it's a tab thing. So you want to tab this one hook on the top side and then clip the bottom end. So that's how you connect that there. It's also how you're going to connect other stuff. So we need to pull this out because we're going to need room to work. So let's hook this guy to the back. So for his upgraded form, these just move around the back. Do the same thing over here. Pull that out. Go ahead and untab. If you pull from the bottom up, it'll come untabbed without much effort. You just don't want to pull straight out or you're going to damage things. I'll go ahead and grab his armor plates. This is the right side one. And these are neat. These are hefty. Like, it's just double layered, thick plastic. And they all hinge together, which is super nice. And like all the little thingies are actually like pegs that come through to help support it. Now this one, I believe it was, I nearly broke because I put it together accidentally. Like I wasn't paying attention. I put that together before realizing it had to. Yeah, it doesn't come with this hair. That's mine. I have to get that out of there. Either way. So before putting it on the hinge, and so I had to nearly break it to get it loose. But it mounts super easily. You just have a super big peg right there. It goes right in the end of the shoulder. And of course, if you want to rock it around like that, you totally can. Just like we saw in the opening footage. And same thing on this side. And there you go. You got him with his GN shield, so to speak. Just you know, heavy armor. And like I said, they do hinge. So let's just open that up real quick. And you can see that, where's the pivot point? There. So this one pivots this way. This one can go out like so. I don't believe that goes in. No, that doesn't go in. So this one comes out to shoot, like if you've got a gun in your hand and you want to poke it out and shoot at people with your shield still up, you can do that. That's perfectly fine. I like that. And of course, if you just need things out of the way, you just sort of kick it to the back as best you can. Now, the back plates on there gets a little bit wonky, but you know, you can figure it out, I guess. So, and I like the color separation here. You got all of the hinges and whatever, just these little binder pieces that hold it together are all done in a darker gray. And this thing is very good about layering different colored grays. You'll see that in the weapons here in a second. So we've got these little guys here, which should look familiar from other builds. And this is just the GN pistol holders. So you got this, it just opens up, and there's your GN pistol. That's awesome. Which actually has a little sticker and clear part there for the camera and the little hole. So these are pretty much exactly the same thing that you got with Estrella. And he can hold them, you just got to use the gun holding hand, which I may as well pull out here. So we'll go with the right-handed one. And just sort of, this might need to be the other one, I don't know. Oh, no, never mind, I forgot. You gotta pull off this part. That's right, the instructions told me to do that. I looked ahead of time and then just forgot when it came to now, because that was quite some time ago. Get in there, little guy. I don't know how tight it's supposed to get in there. It's tabbed in, it's just not super deep. Okay, so there we go. You got that number. Okay, it actually went back further now. Now, one problem I have with these kind of hands is the thumb is usually in the way of things. So you just sort of get it out of the way, plug it in, and then rotate the thumb accordingly. So there you got him wielding his little pistols, which is fun. I always like the GN pistols. And then, of course, the later versions are pretty neat too. So this will peg onto the leg right here. Cool thing is the legs and the arms are essentially mirrored of each other. Like, so you're building two at once, almost entirely through this, which made it a breeze, if I'm honest. So I like the leg mounted thing. And once again, that's very similar to like the Estrella Type F that had a very similar weapon system. So go ahead and tack that here. Is that right? Yeah. And once again, you can see the color grading and different things. So you can see that there's a darker gray here to there. I dig that. I dig that a lot. And it's something I didn't notice until you start building weapons, because you're mostly using the frame gray as you go until you get to that point. So there's that. I'm going to go ahead and take the pistol out of his hand because he's got a more important gun to hold. This one. So the GN sniper rifle, done up very nice. Look at this thing. It is gorgeous. You even got multi-layer coloring, so you got the darker gray back here. Same thing up here on the scope, which does move, which is neat. You got some white back in here, and you can see it peeking through on this side when you move the handle around. So I dig that. I like that he's got like the heat sink kind of thing there, and then, I mean, it's basically modeled after almost like a Barrett 50 cal. And I do dig this thing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show off real quick the storage mode, which is just like all this other stuff that's mounted to the shoulders. You just come up here and you hook it at the top. Oops, ignore that. You hook it at the top and you drop it down the bottom. The actual, there, like that. So there it's in storage mode, and just like the opening footage, close his arm down. And you can close that even with the gun in there. That's pretty cool. And let's see here if I can extend it around. Now it's just kind of chill right there. it does actually have a pivot. Like I don't know if that's meant for that mode or what, but it has a pivot included in that clip. So I guess it's not super stiff. Once again, got to get those ankles planted. Have them a little lean forward. So this area right here, that does just pivot ever so slightly. So that's fine. As for holding the gun, you just take your same trigger hand, plug it on as best you can, somewhere around about there. Get everything kind of straightened out. Grab your arm. Now, the hardest part about this for me was just sort of fighting it into the hand with this whole back piece. So the back piece needs to plug into the forearm because that's how the gun is powered, and you got to slide it forward a little and then tab it into the hand. Now, the first time I did that was not very easy, if I'm honest. But there he is, holding his awesome Giant sniper rifle. And of course, if you want, you get another holding hand, like the beam saber holding hand, and he can dual wield it and everything like that. I'm going to fold that up for a moment. And he does actually come with the bipod attachment, which is pretty sweet. But because, you know, that's a little short, it does have a different thing you can do with it. Get parts stuck to my arm. You can pull the little bottom piece off like that, and then you got these little extensions. And I like that, and I love the fact that they give you color separation to show that it's like a whole separate deal. So you could really get him set up to snipe if you wanted to. So that's actually a fun little thing. Now, could it have been done where it's actually a sliding piston? Sure, but the part itself probably wouldn't have been as good or as solid. So it's one of those sacrifices you got to make for the sake of the thing. So, all right. Let's take another break. I need it after that. It's hard. It's kind of hard manipulating a lot of stuff like this. I'll come back for comparisons and then final thoughts. Okay, well, I just struggled really hard to get this in a dual-handed position. If I'm honest, I'm glad I didn't do that entirely on camera, but I guess using different rotational joints and stuff, it's doable. It's not pretty, though. Like, I mean, look at the way the shoulders and everything have to be contorted. It's kind of ugly, if I'm honest. But, like, I think it looks better shooting it one-handed anyways. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about just before the end here is trying to get this camera out. Now, like I said, this is on a really interesting little thing, and it does tell you instructions. Do not pull by the V-fin, so that will be your inclination. If I'm honest, I tried. So you want to try to pull it out and down, and it doesn't... Without a way to kind of pry it, it's really difficult. Let me see here. I got a beam saber here. So you need to get, like, behind something, and you can pull it out. It's actually not easy to do, especially with just your fingers. So it comes out and then drops down and then reveals the camera, which is fine. It's just a pain in the butt. And then once again, you know, the sniping position here is not great. I don't think I'd have him in this position anyways. I like him in his just kind of standing in the cloak pose, if I'm honest. But like I said, we're going to do comparisons real quick. So there he is in that mode. I'll just leave it there. Oh, I didn't even point it out. So you got this really cool scope sticker going on here. So we'll bring in the HG, and you can see similarities and differences. So remember, I painted all the main details on this one. So like things that are definitely the way they're supposed to be on this guy, I ended up painting on this, and I thought it came out really cool. The only exception being like some of the weird things I did on the inside, but you know, it is what it is. So like these things being gray, the dots being gray, this being the way it is back here, because this is painted inside here where it wasn't on that one. So, I mean, this is to make an HG look like an MG, you got to do something like that. Even the stickers won't quite cover for you on that one. And of course, we couldn't get by without comparing to the OG MG for 00, and you got the Exia. This is, of course, my lightly customized ignition mode Exia. I kind of want to get another one, maybe just get the standard MG Exia, and then throw my ignition mode stuff on it so that I have something that's closer to the original rather than my custom. Because I think that'd be more representative. But you can see, you know, they're roughly the same size. I think almost all the Gundams are roughly the same height and weight, with the exception of Virtue is obviously going to be thicker, heavier, and all that stuff like that. But now knowing that we have this brand new GN frame that works entirely with this type of Gundam, I fully expect another version of Exia to come along with everybody else, because it would definitely be a marked improvement over some of the issues that this guy still has, mainly the feet and the way that's designed with the polycaps and all that. This Exia is fantastic otherwise, and of course, like, even though I just said I wasn't going to put markings on that one, I put markings on this one, which, once again, being that it's a custom, I can do that. It's fine. It's fine. Don't judge me. And also the fact that this one uses the fixed fingers and stuff like that kind of hinders things, whereas this has the more modern style hands that actually hold the thing. So I kind of expect a new Exia down the line, given the modern technology and stuff like that. But there's a lot of similarities in the build and stuff, but everything brand new, new designs, handled way better. But what's funny is I think the sheet for the holographic stuff is exactly the same. I'm pretty sure, because I think the ones that go in his forearms are the same as, or is it the legs? There's some of them that are definitely crossover. Like, you can tell that they're the same parts. Like down here on the calves, I think the legs are a little bit different, but I think they use those same parts elsewhere in the build. Heck, you even have them on the gun. So there's that. I mean, I like them both, and of course I had the 00 and stuff like that. I'm not gonna bother because this is a G1, so to speak, review. Let's go ahead and tuck that back in. It's easier to push in than to get back out, because you can just kind of boop, and it goes right back in there. It's a neat gimmick, but it's super tight. So final thoughts after that. I like it. I like it a lot. But it is a new modern MG that has no polycaps or anything like that, which means that be wary when you're moving super tight joints. You might just snap something. But in the end, it might mean that there's less collapse to things, or it might mean there's more. It's not kind of a universal thought. There are issues one way or the other. The engineering updates on this are fantastic. I do dig it. He comes with just the right amount of accessories, nothing too excessive, except maybe like the bipod extensions and stuff like that. The only gimmick I dislike is the head. We talked about that, and it's mostly just because it's a little hard to get in and out. It looks cool when it's done either way, but it's very difficult to manage, especially if you got like fumble fingers. Part separation, color separation is fantastic. I love it. And actually, in building it, it wasn't a big jumble of parts. Like, as you're removing the parts, they make sense, because a lot of the stuff that's grouped, say it's the arm pieces, are all kind of together. It's nothing like the Leo or like a 30-minute missions, but it's actually pretty close. So you're not wasting time with runners you're not using. You know, like, you're not, very rarely are you pulling off like a single part off of a completely unrelated runner. That's like very rare in this instance. Whereas that was like the way you used to build things, where you would have runners that were just a jumble of all of the gray parts, and the order made no sense. You could have a part 38 and a part 4 that go on the same piece. Whereas this is like part 4 through 6 go together on a thing. Parts 10 through 13 go together on a thing. And that's what I like. It made it super easy to build. Nothing was super confusing, or no dead end things. And of course, it looks beautiful. So I look forward to the rest of them coming out. You guys know I'll definitely have to get them, and I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to display all my 00 stuff from here on out, because with this 00October, I've added this many more kits. And now that there's a new MG in there, so I got to find somewhere to put him, when I've already got I've got 2 MG shelves more or less, and a PG to deal with. And do I believe that they're going to be PGs in the future? Who the heck knows? Maybe, because they're all based off Exia, so it's entirely possible. And you have that one crazy guy who built a Virtue or was it CeraV? I think it was Virtue, who built the Virtue from Exia. So there's that whole thing. But guys, if you like this, big thumbs up, of course, because it is the first Master Grade Monday, not only in a long time, but first one of this month. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you are new here to the channel. And I'm just gonna say this right now. If you search for MG Dynames on YouTube, the most viewed video, I wouldn't say is from one of the best reviewers. And I think there's a slight unfair advantage. I'm just going to say that because specifically with this kit, it's a massive difference in view numbers compared to the other top 2 reviewers that I know of. So I'm just going to say that. But either way, check out the merch, do all the new 00CTOBER stuff, and there's limited time merch coming very soon, so keep an eye out for that. It will only be available for that particular week. I'm just saying that now, but the actual official announcement will come at the end of this week. And so stick around, do all the things. It's awesome, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Remember, as always, keep on building.